It's time! And now, introducing your host, fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada, by way of Boston, Massachusetts, presenting live
the Bostonian versus the Book. Follow the show on Twitter at Boston versus the Book.
Here he is, Matt Perrault!
Enjoy the show, enjoy the show, enjoy the show, enjoy the show.
What's up, Brigade? How are you? Welcome into the second day of the madness. It is March Madness and the Bostonian versus the Book live on our YouTube and X channel at Boston versus the Book. My name is Matt Perrault with you for the next hour plus as we will keep you abreast of what's happening across the country, although really only like 2 or 3 games going on at the moment here at the time of going live. If you guys watch us on the replay on Sports Grid TV, you guys already have Biff's Almanac. You know what has already happened here today. So excuse the live updates as we roll through what will be a very fun day today for college basketball fans. 16 games yesterday, 16 games today. Opening line, we'll talk about the 3 biggest wins from yesterday and talk about the 3 most interesting games for me from a betting perspective coming up here today, as we've got a bunch of big double-digit dogs that are currently, I think, worth your attention as we go into day number 2. We'll jump down the rabbit hole today and take a look at tomorrow's games. We have obviously 8 games on Saturday and 8 games on Sunday as the opening weekend of the college basketball national championship tournament, March Madness, gets really going. Once we get past an opening game, who makes the Sweet 16, who gets out of the opening weekend, what upsets could be lurking, what number 1 seeds might be in jeopardy of not making it to the Sweet 16 and winning their first pod. So we've got that on the docket today. We'll take a look. If we have time to talk football today, we will, but this is going to be a really heavy basketball game or basketball day with a lot of things to get into basketball wise. So if you aren't a college basketball fan, this is probably not the greatest of shows for you, but we will get into picks that I've made for today, picks that I'm making for the weekend, for tomorrow. So a lot of games, obviously a lot of fun stuff to get into. At the start, as we jump right into it here, we've got Kentucky in a brawl with Santa Clara, as expected. Like yesterday, I did bet the first half unders in all 3 games that were tipping off in the 1 o'clock TV window. So it was both games somewhere around 73, 74, I believe, here on this. And we are currently near the half between Santa Clara and Kentucky. It's 31-29. I don't know if that game has gone to halftime yet or not, but if so, the first set, yes. Okay, so first half under for Santa Clara and Kentucky cashes. So we're 1-0 on that. Akron and Texas Tech, it's 24-17 with 9 to play in the first half there. So that is trending right to go to a first half under as well. So it could be a 2-0 start to the first half unders. I went 2-1 yesterday with the first half unders, looking like we're going to wind up going 2-0 to start Friday for the first half unders. And this just applies to games that are being played early in buildings where teams have no history, with fan bases that are half asleep, that aren't really, awake yet. And so the building is sort of calm, and thus the shooting lines, it takes them some time. And it doesn't mean that on Saturday or Sunday, we have a similar situation, because the players will be more accustomed to shooting as to what they are going to see. So that's, this is a trend that I played, almost every year in the tournament, just first half unders for the games that are going to be played very early. A lot of pressure, a lot of eyeballs. And frankly, it's a standalone game. When you play, at 12:15 Eastern time and 12:45 Eastern time, you're the only sporting event going on in the country. So every sports bar, every talk show, everyone watching is on your game. And that creates nerves for a lot of these young kids. So 2-1 yesterday, looking like it could have gone 3-0 yesterday if it wasn't for Nebraska shooting 1,000,000 threes. And that they were on pace to go under, and then they got red hot over the last 5 minutes from behind the arc, and that's what caused that first half to go over. So, I mean, right now, 24-16 for Texas Tech against Akron. I am on Akron. I took the points with Akron. It was the most bet public game of the day. So this is the books need Texas Tech to cover this number of 8. We'll see what ends up happening. I took Akron +8 without JT Toppin and Texas Tech and losing 3 games. On paper, it looks like this would be a dog play. Will it be? We'll see. I'm not sure if it's going to wind up being a dog play, but as of right now, I think there's a chance to jump in on that with the dog. You're probably going to get somewhat of a better number here with Akron. They've shown they can hang. You know, they show that they can play with, so far, Texas Tech. They're missing their free throws, and they do have some foul trouble. So that's not good from an Akron standpoint. 2 big games involving the MAC today. Obviously, Miami of Ohio, everyone's favorite darling. They're playing Tennessee today, and Akron here playing against Texas Tech out of the Big 12. So Team Akron winning the MAC tournament. So it's been fun to watch this game so far. It's been a game of very difficult shots being made for both teams, just not a lot of them. A lot of missed layups, a lot of missed open looks so far, but there have been some pretty tough shots made between Akron and Texas Tech. So I'm on the dog there. First half under should come in, so we start 2-1, and then we'll see what's happening here with Texas Tech as they're getting hot. They're now up by 9. Largest lead of the game for Texas Tech now, 26-17 with under 8 to play in the first half there. By the way, quick update on our survivor pool. 26 entries went out yesterday for our BvB ATS survivor pool. A bunch of you guys rebought in. So the grand prize now is nearly $2,000. So congratulations to those of you who advanced, who made it out of the first day. If you did not get out and you want to rebuy, you can, throwing pens. You can rebuy today and get back in if you were knocked out yesterday. But today is the only day you can rebuy and get back into the Survivor contest. After today, the contest locks, and we see who winds up taking the whole thing down. So, you know, not bad for $25. You'd wind up winning nearly a couple $1,000s out of it. So, and I don't think this thing goes past the Elite 8. If it does, I'm going to tip my cap and say, bravo. But I'll be surprised if it winds up going past the Duke did knock. What knocked a lot of people out were some of the stranger games, some of the smaller games, like North Carolina knocked a lot of people out. Like those are the things that, you know, that happened here for that. So I'll be curious to see what happens today, what you guys pick today. And then Saturday and Sunday, it's fun to watch. You can see what everyone's picking once they lock their pick in. You can see what team they've selected and their path. Yeah, High Point did knock out a lot of people. That's true. So we'll see. Troy Ish got knocked with Troy in Nebraska, knocked him out. So if you are involved in the Survivor contest, in the Against the Spread Survivor contest, we did take down 26 entries yesterday. Now here into day number 2. We'll see how you guys pick. Remember, it's one pick every day against the spread until we're left with one entry, and that entry takes it all down. They make all the money. They take it all home. So good stuff with that. If you are looking for some angles, episode 2 for the Coach's Edge with JY is out now, and his guest is Randolph Childress, the now broadcaster but former Wake Forest star, and there's some really cool things. I know Coach liked Akron today, as did I. He's given you some bracket breakdowns. He picks his Final Four. He picks his national champion. So it could help you as you roll through the rest of the tournament. So check it out on our YouTube channel at the moment, at Opening Line Media on YouTube, to go check that out for Coach's Edge with Coach James Young with his guest, Randolph Childress, former ACC star. Let's start the program with the opening line. Let's talk about the games yesterday and preview 3 games I like today. All right, opening line for us. Let's go yesterday, and then we'll go into today. Let's start talking about St. Louis and what they did to Georgia. They were 2-point dogs to Georgia, and they won the game by 25 points. They didn't just beat Georgia. They absolutely dismantled Georgia. I don't know what they did from a prep perspective. I don't know if they paid attention to anything. Did they watch film? 102. St. Louis scored 102 points against Georgia. That is the third biggest straight up margin of victory for an underdog in the first round of the NCAA tournament since expansion in 1985. That wasn't just a win for St. Louis. They crushed Georgia yesterday. They closed at +1.5. I had them at +2.5. All Billikens. Annihilation. And it wasn't just that. You look at the committee. St. Louis destroying Georgia. VCU, more on them here in just 1 second, and their win over North Carolina. High Point beating Wisconsin. I mean, these were the three most impressive victories to me yesterday. High Point has a coach that I think is going to be talked about because he appears to be insane. Like he appears to be not right in the head with the press conference or the interview he gave and then the press conference that he gave. They got guys shooting from the logo for High Point. Like, look where that kid took that shot. They're down by 8 at the moment, by the way, here, where he took that shot against Wisconsin. Like, he just rises up, logo shot, Dame Lillard type stuff, buries it. And then after the game, Flynn Clayman, the head coach of High Point, is basically yelling at the CBS reporter who's asking him the question, quote, looks pretty obvious to me that high majors need to play mid majors early in the season because they said we didn't play nobody. We played somebody now. Angry mid-major coaches are my favorite. I love them. I think they're awesome. And they're trying to make a name for themselves because before yesterday, nobody knew who that guy was. After yesterday, everybody knows who that guy is. And that's how you get big jobs, right? I mean, you pull off big wins. You get big wins. That's how you wind up getting big jobs. And you do your best to get your kids prepared. And then they go out there and perform like that. And then athletic directors around the country pay attention. And they're like, okay, you took down Wisconsin. You looked incredible. This is a remarkable story. My fans are going to love this. He belongs in the WWE. Yeah, he did say it with his chest. That's true, Whitrock. He was into it. I mean, he was 100% into it. Like, just into it. Mad. And in post-game press conference, same thing. Same anger. Same frustration. Same, like, who are you? Like, I want to go fight you. High Point's going to be fun. They're going to be fun to watch coming up tomorrow. And then number one it's VCU. I mean, VCU down 19 points to North Carolina. They're down 19 points. They were completely out of. I think we froze. There we go. We're back. 11 seeded VCU was as high as 35-1 on the money line in the second half. 35-1. And they came all the way back. Came all the way back to beat North Carolina, who once again blows a game that they should not have blown in the tournament. And afterwards, I don't know what Hubert Davis is trying to do. I don't know if you guys saw the post-game press conference for Hubert Davis, but he was being asked some very benign questions. Like, he wasn't being asked very difficult questions. And he was out there, one-word answers, very quick with the media, just not the type of representation that North Carolina expects. And I don't know if he knows it's over or he was told that if you lose to VCU, even without, your best player in Caleb Wilson. So, even without him, we need you to beat VCU. That's a team in our region. That's a mid-major. Like, you can't be losing to VCU if you're North Carolina, even without Caleb Wilson. He was up big. He lost in overtime. Just a complete melt for North Carolina. So I don't know if he knew, if that was sort of like that was a deal. That was a situation where it was like, okay, I'm done. I'm done with you in the media. I got to sit here and answer a couple of questions, and then I'm getting fired. And so I'm out. I'm good. I don't know. It's it was a weird look for Hubert Davis. That did not sit well with me. And if I'm a Carolina fan, I think it's telling as to what might be happening. JY wrote on his Substack today about Carolina's need to make a change and for Carolina to go a different direction than Hubert Davis. And that's a big job in college basketball. Big job in college basketball. So yeah, Jimmy, Tar Heels, high standards. And when you lose like that, that is not a good situation at all. I will agree. Whitrock, shout out to the VCU coach, Phil Martelli Jr., for crediting the student media in the postgame. That was an awesome clip. I retweeted that from the BvB account. That was an unbelievable exchange talking about student media. And I'm going to be showing that to my class come Monday at UNLV, because that's pretty cool, man. Like, that's pretty cool when you have a coach stop everybody and go, hold on a second, before I answer the question, I want to call out our student media because we have the best student media in the country. Now, that's arguably right. I mean, I think everyone, Syracuse, UMass, like, different people are going to have different opinions about their own student media, but the kid calling the game for High Point, I don't know if you guys watched that play-by-play, but that kid was awesome. Like, that kid was tremendous. And next week is a really big week for my class at UNLV, because we're calling 7 baseball games. These kids, most of them have never called a game before in their life. And we're calling on HD2. UNLV has got a bunch of different channels, but they have an HD2 channel that is broadcasted all over campus. And we're going to be broadcasting UNLV baseball with these kids who are part of my class. And it's like high anxiety. It's no net, right? High wire act, live mics, live games to be called. And when we go back on Monday, these kids are going to be nervous because they're going to have less than a week. The games are on Friday. It's a week from today that the games will go off. And it's a night game, Friday night. So it's going to be fun. Do I have to go back and listen to all the games? I mean, kind of. I'm going to be there, though. I mean, more than anything else, I'm going to be at the games for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'll be there personally. So I'll be listening. I'll be kind of overseeing the whole thing. This is a very big initiative that the university built around me. And so, you know, it is kind of like, it's my name, it's my students, to get them ready to go, to get them up to speed, and to broadcast, you know, not professionally, but there are going to be parents and there's going to be people. It's going to be on the internet. These kids are going to be calling baseball games. You know, it's a Mountain West Conference game that's going to be taking place. So it's going to be tough. You know, it's going to be tough. Corbin asks, I should take my daughter. She can watch and learn. She's playing softball. Bring her. Let's go. Friday night at UNLV at the baseball stadium. Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday afternoon is the games. And then then I think there's a day off. And then we call the games on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I think that's the schedule for UNLV. So it's 7 games in 8 days that we're calling for UNLV on the HD2 channel. So I've been working with these kids for the last 2 months to get them ready. And so watching that High Point kid was cool. That was awesome to watch that High Point kid do well with that call for High Point to go ahead and win. And it reminded me, I mean, I called UMass's loss to St. Louis in the NCAA tournament my junior year. And I can't remember what I called my senior year. If UMass went to I don't know if they made the tournament my senior year, and only made it my junior year. I can't remember if they made it because we went to Atlanta for my junior year. I can't remember because I was ready to graduate. That would have been March of 1999. So I don't remember if I called it or did I send somebody to call it, because I was the sports director. So I don't remember what we did with that, but very cool with that. Yeah, the team total. Yeah. Might go over the first half, Justin. That's true. We might go 1-1, although it has slowed down a little bit here for this, but it's 37-35. So what are we at? We're at 62. So we need we need a pretty big slowdown here. Akron has gotten boat raced recently, so their defense needs to step up. We're at the under 4 media timeout, so maybe we get it's going to go right up against it. I think it was 73.5. I think it's what I played for the first half under for Akron, Texas Tech. So we got to watch that. Okay, for tomorrow. Let's talk about tomorrow. Games to watch. Hofstra catching 11.5 from Alabama. Or this is today, sorry. This is today, sorry. I have this weekend. Rabbit Hole is this weekend, is Saturday. Hofstra is catching 11.5 from Alabama. The arrest of Aiden Holloway is a massive distraction for Alabama. Okay. Hofstra is a very popular pick today, just like Akron is a very popular pick today. Is that going to be a good thing? I don't know. The numbers, you would say the numbers should wind up flipping. Okay. Because through 20 games of the tournament, the underdog is 13-7 against the spread, including 9 straight up victories on the money line. The 9-11 straight up money line wins for the dogs passes already before we even play any games today. It passes what happened last year where only 8 dogs won outright. Okay. So like, that's the worry here, that normally we kind of get it evened up. Like normally it comes to somewhat of an even number, because if you look at yesterday, underdogs 10-6 with 6 outright wins, 8-8 total perspective. So if you were betting unders yesterday, you wound up down the juice. If you missed the Duke Siena game, if you played under 135.5, you went 7-9 and you lost yesterday. Double digit favorites go 5-5 yesterday. So right now, the books are making money on the juice. And with the level of volume that we're seeing, the books are making money right now. So you would assume that today would be a day of favorites. Like just as we normally see it kind of play out, this would be Texas Tech going ahead and covering. This would be, generally speaking, we wind up seeing some type of, game in which the favorites go and blow out their opponents. But I think that game, you have to watch it. Hofstra plus 11.5 here against Alabama today. Where will Alabama be on this? One of their star players gets arrested and charged with felony drug distribution on campus. Like, that is not what you want if you're Nate Oates. Try to figure this out. It's a 11-point win according to KenPom. So the number is right there. But, Hofstra, their offense needs to knock down threes. It's the ultimate equalizer. But they are 31st in 3-point shooting, while Alabama is 156th in 3-point defense. On the flip side, Hofstra's defense is not bad. Effective field goal percentage, they're 9th in the country. So they're going to make you work. And people have talked about Hofstra being a little bit underseeded here, that they're better than what the seed from the committee has given them. And given what happened yesterday, the mid-majors may have something to say about, hey, wait a minute, you guys thought we were going to stink, and we're better than you think. St. Louis being the most obvious. So I like Hofstra today. That's not bad. Miami of Ohio catching 12 against Tennessee. Like 12 points. I almost had to go and double check this. I was like, wait a minute, what? 12? We're now up to 12 here. Tennessee is coached by Rick Barnes, right? Rick Barnes. Anybody know Rick Barnes' ATS record over the last 10 games in the tournament? He's 3-7 against the spread. You're going to back Tennessee to cover against Miami of Ohio? I get the idea, right? There's no way the Red Hawks are going to shoot the way they shot in Dayton versus now playing against Tennessee, right? The travel is crazy, right? The attention is crazy. They're all big men on campus now after that big win. Getting a double-digit win over SMU in the play-in, first 4, whatever you want to call it. But this is still one of the most efficient teams in college basketball. This is still a team that has only lost 1 game all year. And the Volunteers, offensively, they're not good. They're a defensive team, but they're not a very good offensive team. They're a phenomenal offensive rebounding team. They're the number 1 team in the country for offensive rebounds. So that's going to be a problem for Miami of Ohio. They're going to have to box out and keep the Vols off the glass, which no one has been able to do that. So, good luck to do that. That's the number 1, rebounding team in the country in Tennessee. But their offense, they're 200th in 3-point shooting. They're 162nd in 2-point shooting. And Miami of Ohio is 22nd in 3-point shooting and 3rd in 2-point shooting. It comes down to, this is a make or miss round. Okay. This is a make or miss round, and it's a make or miss game here today for this. This is, you saw it yesterday, right? With Texas against BYU. Texas wins in Dayton. They carry the momentum over. They've played in a tournament setting. They've played a win or go home game already. I think Miami of Ohio is the play here at plus 12. I like it. And then finally, I like Wright State catching 18 from Virginia. When I was looking at this morning and BetChris had this at 18, I was like, wow. Okay. Again, this was a 3-14 game yesterday that I thought Troy would be able to cover against Nebraska. That didn't happen. Huskers killed them. I mean, absolutely blew their doors off. So, and we're at 69 right now with 142 to play here in the first half. So, and then there's a layup. So now it's 40. We're at 71. So this game's going to go over. So in the first half, over will come in. So we'll start 1-1 for the first half unders, unless we see no scoring here over the next couple of minutes. I have to see what number I played, but I thought it was 73.5 for a first half under. We're at 71 at the moment with 1:15 to play in the first half. So maybe I get a miracle and we stay under, but I probably don't think that we're gonna wind up having that. That's most likely not gonna be the situation for that. So I'm really curious to watch and see how this second half is going to get played, because it's been pretty physical between Akron and Texas Tech. Charge coming down on Texas Tech, 9-point lead here for Tech, 105 to play in the first half. So cross my fingers there coming up with that. But Wright State, Virginia has lost 3 consecutive outright openers in the NCAA tournament, including one time as a 1 seed. Like, this has been a house of horrors for Virginia. And now we're going to back them against a Wright State team that's pretty good. I mean, a 3-point shot goes down for Akron, 40-34. That might have just killed my bet, but let's see. It's better that Akron gets hot, though, because I've got a bigger play on them at +8. I just think it's too many points. Virginia does not score, and they don't blow people out. Defensively, they're tremendous. I mean, Virginia they're one of the best teams in the country. When they're on, they're a top 15 team for KenPom. This is a big win. It's a 16-point win here for Virginia against Wright State. But I mean, the Horizon League, I watched a lot of Wright State in the Horizon tournament, and they got to hit threes. They're 51st in 3-point shooting. They're 73rd in 2-point shooting. If they can hit threes, and Virginia's defense is what you expect, they're 7th in the country in 2-point defense, 32nd in the country in 3-point defense, 5th defensively in effective field goal percentage, and 16th in efficiency defensively. Like, they are tremendous. But if Virginia can't score, which we've seen it before, where their offense is god awful and they can't score, things can be really problematic for Virginia, and they can wind themselves being sent home by a team, yes, from the Horizon, yes, from a team that you don't know much about. It could happen. It can absolutely happen coming up on that. So free throws coming. It's 40-35. Make that 40. We missed it. So let's see. I don't know what number I played, so I'll have to go pull that up here in a second. I'm pretty confident that it was 73.5. It might have been 76, but I'm pretty confident it was 73.5. It was for this. So we got to travel. So we're going to go to the first half, to halftime, with it being 40-35. So we're at 75. This is always fun when I get to check my bets live on the air and see where I'm at money-wise. Let's see. I don't know what number I played. I think I played 73.5. That's my guess, but let's pull up the app and let's see what I bet. I played 72. So it went over. Okay. So 1-1 to start. I've got the Arizona and the LIU Brooklyn first half at 72 as well for the first 2 games. That game is the next one to get started here in about 5 minutes. Long Island against Arizona. That is the Fins Up team, in case you were curious who the Fins Up team is. Okay. That's LIU Brooklyn. That's these guys that got on 60 Minutes. They had no fans. They found 2 fans, these 2 brothers that just fell in love with LIU Brooklyn. They never went to school there, but they just started this chant for whenever they have a foul line. They went like this. And of course, Nebraska copied it, because Nebraska copies everything, because they have no originality when it comes to basketball. So Nebraska started copying it, and they did their own version of Fins Up. But, sorry, a lot of numbers. We're trying to do math and betting. It's all tough. Let's talk about the games today, trends and things to watch if you're going to bet the tournament the rest of the way here for us. All right. What happened last night? From day one, I think one of the biggest takeaways for me were the blowouts. I mean, there were a lot of blowouts in this, first round. In fact, too many. And we had no buzzer beaters. Like, we didn't have anything of like oh my God. Like, we had a couple of shots that were like, are you kidding me? I can't believe the kid took it. That shot by the kid from High Point was ridiculous. There's that shot. We've seen a whole bunch of 3-point shots going off. We've seen incredible comebacks. We've seen massive blowouts, though. I mean, Houston game, all 3 games last night, late night, were all blowouts. That kind of stunk. Like, there was nothing really great to watch last night in the late window. It was all massive blowouts and just mismatches. So I didn't really love that. I mean, I think overall, the betting results, I mean, if you bet dogs yesterday, you did very well. And does that continue? I don't know, but 10-6 is 10-6. That's pretty good. It was the outright victories that I think that was the most impressive. 6 of those games going to an outright victory. If you were betting -2, -1.5, thinking that was the right side yesterday, it was not. Now, do we see a 6-10 mark for dogs today? Very possible. Okay. It's very possible that the correction happens here, that the numbers are going to sharpen up a little bit, and we wind up seeing dogs get beat consistently across the country here today. I think there's a lot of really cool things happening in the betting market at the moment, because as I told you yesterday, the first half unders was a danger and the books were ready, and they wound up, depending on the number you bet for Duke and Siena, it went 8-8. Okay. First half unders went 8-8. But if you bet Siena to go under and you went under 135.5, the game fell 136 against Duke. That was a 7-9 mark. So you lost money yesterday betting the first half under. We're 1-1 so far here for a first half under, but this has been game under, full game under, not first half, but full game under, 7-9, full game under. So both games aren't done yet. So we'll see where they wind up going. But right now it looks like we're going to go 1-1. The Kentucky game probably goes under. The Texas Tech game goes over. So it's 1-1. But this blindly taking 32 games and blindly betting unders and looking at all the different profitability numbers that have been spit out, it's not wise to bet 32 games and do it blindly, just backing a trend. Like, you have to do some research to see what this, because the books see you coming a mile away. So that's what I was afraid of that. We talked about that on Monday and on Tuesday. Like, you got to be careful. You just got to be careful just firing blindly on some of these plays, because you don't really know, the books are sitting there waiting, and they feel like, okay, we anticipate for the first time, like, the public doesn't bet unders. Think about when the public bets unders. It's when everyone is in the Buffalo group and we're all chasing and charging towards the cliff, right? And then we all go off the cliff. Unders are not something that the public likes to bet unless they're told over and over again, you will win money, you will win money, you will win money. And then they consistently start to bet unders. And the books were ready. They artificially were, 1-2 points, dumbing this down total wise. And yesterday, I mean, with the volume that they've got, if they go 8-8, that's beautiful. That's perfect for the books, because they take down the juice. So it's a huge day for that reason. On top of the fact that people bet favorites like crazy, right? 10-6 to the dog is awesome. On top of the fact that the underdogs were the mid-majors that were coming through. Yeah, TCU won and they were able to beat Ohio State. But for the most part, it was mid-majors who were winning yesterday. VCU, High Point. I mean, those teams that were not expecting. St. Louis, that if you're not watching college basketball, you don't know much about these guys. And so the public comes in, they're like, oh my God, you kidding me? North Carolina's going to kill VCU. Yeah, lay it, right? And then you watch the game and you're like, uh-oh, VCU's pretty good. Like, we got problems here. Carolina is spiraling and Carolina is going down fast. And so I'm concerned about what's going to happen. And so you wind up looking at your own bracket going, oh no, this is bad. Okay. So I'll be very curious to see how today winds up going. Because again, I'm backing dogs a ton. Not because I'm just wanting to, it's just the sides that I like. I like Akron. I like Miami of Ohio. I like Clemson. We'll get to those picks coming up in just the picks, but I like dogs again today. I do like an under today, and that game is being bet over, which is somewhat surprising. St. John's in Northern Iowa being played to the over is that's a little interesting to me. I don't know how much people have watched, like how much people have watched Northern Iowa historically, or St. John's, who has gone under in 9 of their last 10 games. But okay, sure, it's really low. 132 is a stupid low total. I'll give you that. But when that game ends 55-53, you're going to go, why did I bet over? Just because that's a rock fight, like definition of a rock fight between Ben Jacobson and Rick Pitino. They want to play that way. I mean, the referees, bless them, because they're going to have their hands full with all sorts of physicality and from both teams, from St. John's and Northern Iowa, coming up here for today. So not easy at all to go ahead and take down this. So I'm really excited to watch the rest of the games today. We'll give you more plays coming up here in a couple of seconds. Tomorrow, the second round, we're going to jump down the rabbit hole. Let's look at some of the disrespect that's being handed down. After yesterday, I thought that the books might give a little bit more respect to the mid-major. Nope. They are again expecting these teams to get blown out, or at least they expect the public to bet on these teams to get blown out. Let's jump down the rabbit hole with the games coming up on tomorrow. This is being brought to you by our friends at Rabbet. You guys can use that code Rabbet5. Go and download Rabbet in the Google Play or Apple Store. This is where you take your group chat, your smack talk, all your arguments, and you make it into a real play. Challenge your friends, not the house, to go ahead. You set the number, you set the juice, and you guys go and settle the bets through Rabbet. It's a true peer-to-peer sports betting platform, and you can get 5 free Rabbet cash by signing up today using the code Rabbet5. Create and share custom sports picks, not at sports books. It's worth it to check it out. Just download it and play around with it, because it is pretty cool, the stuff that they've got cooking. And Frank and Mark really do have a cool product, and we've got some fun stuff coming down the pike with us and Rabbet in giveaways after the NCAA tournament. So definitely go and download Rabbet, Rabbet5, using the code at sign up, get you 5 free Rabbet cash to be able to use that Rabbet app first. So look, I understand what a line is. We've talked about this a lot here on this program. A line is whatever number you have to put up to make the professionals take the dog, right? So when I see St. Louis, one of the most efficient basketball teams in recent memory in college basketball, catching 12.5 from Michigan tomorrow, I have to pause for a second and go, hold on. I like Michigan. I do. They're going to rebound and they're going to dominate the glass. I will give you that. However, St. Louis is difficult. And if you would go athlete to athlete, you would say Georgia should have killed St. Louis. But if you watched the way that St. Louis played yesterday, the amazing efficiency of their offense, how good they are cutting without the basketball. This is a 13-point win according to KenPom. So I do expect this number to creep up because it's only at 12.5 at the moment. Michigan's defense is ranked second in efficiency and second in effective field goal percentage. I give it to you. But the offense for St. Louis is second in effective field goal percentage. They are second in 3-point shooting, and they are 11th in 2-point shooting. Oftentimes, great offense can beat great defense in college basketball when you don't have a familiarity. This is one of those games where Michigan better be careful. Duke said it at halftime yesterday when they played Siena. They thought it was going to be a cakewalk, and they almost lost to Siena. If Michigan does not take St. Louis seriously, if they look at Robbie Avila, if they look at this roster and they're like, give me a break. This is one of the best young coaches in college basketball. This is a guy who has just been locked down by St. Louis because Josh Schertz could have left and he didn't. He stuck around. He wants to build something at St. Louis. And this is going to be a tough game for Michigan. I think you have to take the points here. Like, this is, yes, can Michigan shut down St. Louis and they don't hit threes? Absolutely. Did we see St. Louis swoon at the end of the year? Completely. Are they going to do it again? It's just like the same narrative around Miami of Ohio, right? It's the same conversation. Miami of Ohio is being expected today against Tennessee to not hit anything. And the same thing that St. Louis hit everything against Georgia, and thus they won't hit anything today against Michigan because Michigan's defense is so much better than what Georgia's was last night. Okay, maybe, if you want to say that, but I like St. Louis. I like plus. I don't know if they win, but I think they're going to put a fear in Michigan. I think this is going to be a really fun basketball game. I think Michigan's going to have their hands full with the Billikens, and I think it's going to come down to 3-point shooting. And if St. Louis hits their threes, they can knock out Michigan. They believe it. 100%. They believe it. Eron Sean, Michigan fan, he agrees. Good. I think it's there. I really do. I think St. Louis has a shot. Number 2, TCU, power team, not a mid-major, but Jamie Dixon is a really good head coach. Duke, I'm sorry. The way they played yesterday, that wasn't just them taking a team lightly. That was a team playing in a tournament setting that was young and inexperienced. You're asking the Boozer twins to carry you. And did they? Yes, against Siena. This is Jamie Dixon. This is TCU. I think this is going to be really fun to watch here. I think Duke could be in trouble here against TCU, and I do expect TCU to be in this game late and being a double-digit dog, and I don't care that it's in Greenville, South Carolina. Doesn't bother me at all when it comes to Duke here and John Shire. Yesterday, you could say, well, that was a fluke, Matt. They just didn't take it seriously. They woke up and they went, I'm catching 11.5 points for TCU. I'm catching 11.5 points tomorrow. That's too heavy. Okay. I'm surprised at this. And I think it's just because the public's going to bet Duke because it's Duke. TCU on the year was 10-5. Now they're 11-5 ATS away from home this year. Duke was 12-8, but over the last 5 games, Duke is 1-4 ATS. TCU over their last 10 games, they're 7-3 ATS. I like TCU here. I do. I like the dog. I like St. Louis plus 12.5. I like TCU plus 11.5. And I think this number is disrespectful. Like, what are we doing with this number? VCU, did we not watch the game yesterday? Did we not watch what they did in North Carolina? Illinois, 11.5. 11.5. Look, Illinois looked great last night. Okay. Massive blowout victory. Just went and just hit everything and was looking everything like a top 10 team, right? Won the game 105-70 over Penn. But it was Penn. One of their best players was sick. And this is, according to KenPom, this is an 83-74 win. This is a 9-point win for Illinois. VCU would be the side, according to KenPom. VCU they're like the cardiac kids. They've been doing this for a while where they get down and then they rally. They have one of the best benches in the entire country. And you saw it yesterday with the majority of their points yesterday coming off the bench. And they believe. Phil Martelli Jr., his dad's in the stands cheering on his son. I can't imagine what that moment must have been like yesterday for his son to beat North Carolina. I don't know how long Phil Martelli Jr. is going to stick around at VCU, but that's, again, another one of these guys that make noise in the tournament, and then thus they get big jobs at the Final Four because an AD looking for a new head coach. I mean, Kentucky, if they lose this game here today, and Kentucky is currently up by 4 on Santa Clara, if Kentucky loses today, Mark Pope might be out. They may fire him. So there's a huge job that may be available. And I'm not saying Martelli Jr. goes to Kentucky or that Hubert Davis gets fired at North Carolina, but those are big jobs, right? So when the big jobs get filled by your secondary big time programs, maybe not your blue bloods, but your other big programs, well, then that job's opened up. And then that's where you do see a Phil Martelli getting a job and moving up. That's how the coaching, ladder works. So there's all turmoil to be had in the next couple of weeks from a college basketball standpoint. I love Brad Underwood. I've told you guys the story about my Brad Underwood connection. I love Brad Underwood. I have had when he was at Stephen F. Austin, I was having direct relationships with him, trying to get his radio rights to air in Houston. So I know him, and he's an awesome coach. And he is a guy who's very easy to relate to. He's very likable. He is a gruff competitor on the court, but off the court, he's a really good guy. I like VCU here. I'm catching 11.5 points with VCU. What? This number, I just, again, this has to be because they think that the public is going to come in here and bet the favorite. VCU 10-7 now on the road. ATS wise, they've covered their last 3, 4 of the last 5, 7 of their last 10. Illinois has been good against the spread. Obviously, they covered against Penn yesterday by 35 points, won the game by 35 points, covered easily, but they're still 4-6 ATS over their last 10 games. Another double-digit dog. I just think this is where VCU hangs around. I think St. Louis makes a problem for Michigan. I think TCU is going to be a problem for Duke, and I think VCU is going to be a problem for Illinois coming up tomorrow. The games tomorrow, I can't wait to watch these 3 games. These 3 games are absolutely awesome. They are must-see TV tomorrow. If you can't clear off your schedule, try to do it now to watch these games, because I don't think those spreads are right. I think those spreads are way too high and way too lopsided for what I think we're going to see tomorrow. I think we're in for some really, really fun matchups. If you want bets for today, let's take a look at games I've already bet and games you can get involved with today. All right, Just the Picks is being presented by the Betting Pros Prop Bet Cheat Sheet. You guys can go download the Prop Bet Cheat Sheet off of the Betting Pros app. Anywhere you guys get your apps, search Betting Pros or go to bettingpros.com/NBA props. Check out all the AI-driven, algorithm-driven picks for prop betting tonight in the NBA. If you aren't interested in betting these games, I like Hofstra catching 12.5 against Bama. We talked about it a little bit already here in the opening line. Look, Alabama with an arrest of one of their best players and Hofstra feeling completely disrespected. This is one of those teams. I was talking to Coach Young about this after the bracket came out, and he asked me, like, is there an East Coast bias? Like, are the committee members so afraid of shading things towards the East that they have underseeded teams like VCU and Hofstra and these teams that are from the East Coast that aren't getting any respect because Hofstra is better than what people think? They are a 13 seed. That didn't sit well with High Point being a 12 seed, and we saw that. This is not sitting well with Hofstra, being a 13 seed. By the way, Arizona's up 15-4 on Long Island. Whew, okay. They got off to a good start. Arizona flexing here early. I'm on the first half under, so just make sure that Long Island doesn't score. Just make sure that they don't get any points. But I like the dog here, and this is the theme of this tournament for me. I'm betting dogs. I think that the narrative that's been put into the water about how mismatched this tournament is going to be because of NIL has seeped into the brains of the collective betting public and the bookmakers. And I think we're getting some value here with numbers that are juiced up just too high. Hofstra, I think, is going to hang around with Alabama. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game, but I think Hofstra is going to be in the game. Bama wins, Hofstra covers. Nova, Utah State plays in the Mountain West Conference. The Mountain West Conference sucks. Like, that is just the bottom line. When it comes to the NCAA tournament, this conference blows. 5-30 in their last 35 tournament games straight up. And I got Kevin Willard, who is a guy who is experienced, understands what it takes to win in March. I like Villanova showing some toughness here. Money line this play. I think they knock out Utah State. This is going to be a fun game, but I like Nova here at +2 today. Clemson as well. Iowa got into the tournament why. I like Ben McCollum. I do. I've looked at this and I am really, really curious to see what happens here with Iowa. They lost to Ohio State, to Nebraska, to Michigan, to Penn State, to Wisconsin, to Purdue, to Maryland. Dating back to the 9th of February, Iowa has won a grand total of 3 basketball games, and now they're in the tournament. We used to have a metric that the committee used for your last 10. How are you playing when you made it into the tournament? They don't use that anymore for a metric to get a bid, but I still use it as a metric for betting. And I want to know how you're playing as you go into the tournament. And Clemson is playing much better and has had much bigger wins over North Carolina. They played Duke tough in the ACC tournament. I like Clemson here catching 2 points. It's a 2-point win, 67-65 for Iowa, according to KenPom. This game's a dead under. This first half is a dead under. This is going to be a rock fight basketball game. If you don't like Clemson +2, I think you bet the under in the game. I think Clemson Iowa is a complete dead under game. I think we're going to see a lot of just not really pleasant basketball here between these two teams. Clemson on the year was 20-12 to the under this season. What's wild is that Iowa was 19-14 to the over, including 13-9 in the Big Ten Conference and 10-5 away from home. The total being 30.5 is really, really low for an Iowa game, even for Iowa. Most of Iowa games were in the 140s this season. This is at 135. There were games in the 130s for Clemson, but most of their games also were in the 145, 150 type range. So that is a number where I think the books see us coming and they're like, hey, we know you're going to bet the under, so let's drop this thing way down. You want it at 130.5? How much do you like the under? Same thing can be said for St. John's in Northern Iowa today. This is ridiculous. I mean, 132 for St. John's, and I still bet under. And the number has been bet over. I mean, there's over money. It's 132.5 now between these two teams. But St. John's, this is crazy. 9 of their last 10 games went under, and only 1 game went over, dating back to the beginning of February. So February the 10th, only 1 game went over for St. John's. For Northern Iowa, their last 2 games, both in the Valley Tournament, did go over. The game against Illinois Chicago, in which they beat them 84-69, it went over. Against Bradley, they scored 73. It was 73-69. Both those games flew over. But that was more, to me, Northern Iowa getting open looks and burying them. And they're not going to get those open looks today against St. John's. Not against Rick Pitino. This is 2 tremendously talented head coaches. I absolutely love Ben Jacobson. I love Rick Pitino, UMass guy. Coach Jacobson, obviously, I've told you guys the story about Ali Farouk-Manesh in Northern Iowa. So I have a deep, deep love for the Panther program and Ben Jacobson. I just think this is a rock fight. I think this is the game in the 50s. I think this is watching paint dry between St. John's and Northern Iowa coming up here for today. So dogs and unders today for me. Hofstra +12.5, Nova +2, Clemson +2, and St. John's and Northern Iowa go under 132.5. I played under 132 on this. So Ish likes UConn laying 20.5. They've covered 14 straight tournament games. Trends are your friends until, but I don't mind it. I don't mind it. Somebody's asking me to give him a score update. 59-55, Santa Clara has taken the lead on Kentucky with 7.5 to play in the second half. Akron is hanging around here. I took +8 on Akron against Texas Tech. It's 46-35 here now. So it's a 9-point lead for Texas Tech. So we're right there in range. It's 24-12 Arizona now over Long Island. That game with 12 to play in the first half. So I played under 72 in the first half for Long Island and Arizona. So that's trending in the right direction. And Wright State in Virginia, no score through 2.5 minutes of action. That's why I told you, that's why that number didn't make any sense to me, because Virginia doesn't score. And so because they're not potent offensively, why 18? Wright State was catching 18. I didn't bet this game. This is the game. I did not bet this. I should have bet this. I didn't bet the first half under in this game. I didn't bet the game. I didn't touch this game, but this was just a number that jumped out at me going like, I'm the most curious to see because my spidey sense says Wright State plus 18. Like that's a dog play with Virginia, given the fact that they can't get out of the first round in the NCAA tournament. So I don't know. We'll see. Whew, that's a 10 p.m. tip for UConn. And they're playing in Philly. That's a mistake. That's a mistake. Jimmy Football, good catch. That's a mistake. I get why they're doing that, though. They're doing that for money, right? UConn late night, right? You get eyeballs. That's why they're putting them out there from a TV perspective. But whew, that's something, interesting on that. Oh, God. Great. Just in time to get done playing ice hockey and drive past the sports stadiums around 1 a.m. in Philly. Yeah, James, sorry, man. You may need to public transit that in some form or fashion to get around the traffic in that part of Philadelphia. That's going to stink. That happens, unfortunately, a little bit too much for my liking. I love that. I love that Philly has that, though, that it's all in one area. It's so convenient that it's all in one area, and it makes it really simple to get around and go to the games and whatnot. So it's brutal. Yeah, brutal, dude. I'll give it to you. Let's talk news of the industry. So news of the industry, actually, this is local here in Nevada, but it is big news because Nevada is on the brink of banning Kalshi. They would be the first state to do that. No state has ever been able to win a court case and take it all the way to actually banning, but we're getting close. Kalshi lost a court ruling yesterday asking for a stay from the Nevada court that will ban Kalshi from offering sport event contracts in Nevada without Kalshi obtaining all the required gaming licenses and from its market accepting wagers from persons under 21 in Nevada. So this is significant. So essentially, if you were 21, you can still use Kalshi. You just can't bet on sports, which is 90% of Kalshi's business is on sports. So if this court case goes, then the thought is Kalshi would go to the Supreme Court for an emergency docket, trying to get on the court to be ruled immediately. But it's not going to happen right away. It's not going to happen in time for the national championship, most likely. So you're going to talk about the biggest betting events, the Sweet 16, the Elite Eight, the Final Four, and the national championship. It looks like Kalshi is going to be prevented from operating here in Nevada. And you have to wonder how many other states will use that and follow suit, and the domino effect will fall, and that Kalshi is going to be in a pretty difficult predicament. And they know it, right? That's why when the Arizona case came down, that's why Tariq Mansour, who is the CEO, the guys on X answering and fighting with everyone, including me, everyone. He is, if you write something to Mansour right now, you're going to get reported back. Like he's going to clap back at you and say something about what's going on. And I mean, more power to him trying to fight that, but it's kind of pissing into the wind with this because you're losing court case after court case. And the Nevada case is the worst of them all because it's a state court. The federal court is ruling against you. There is nowhere to go besides the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court's not going to take your case that fast where you could potentially be operating. Now, it's just one state for Nevada, but you have to wonder if that ruling holds and they're banned in Nevada, then you would assume that Ohio, Massachusetts, New Jersey, all these other states are going to follow suit. And there's the domino effect. And thus, for the CEA, for the CFTC, in order to be a legal exchange, you cannot geo-target anything. You have to be operating in all 50 states. Otherwise, you're violating the law of being in a prediction market. So you're licensed with the CFTC, and there's no way that this administration would take away Kalshi's license. But you know what I mean? It would be interesting to see how that would play out if they're not operating in Nevada, if they're not operating in different states. They told Massachusetts they can't afford to geo-target. So like if they can't afford to do the geo-targeting in Nevada, in Massachusetts, in New Jersey, in Ohio, in Arizona. Now we're talking about big problems for Kalshi. So watch that's going to get resolved probably by Monday or Tuesday. And Nevada's not going to make that quiet. Like if they're able to go ahead and flex on this, this is going to be loud. This is not going to be quiet. This is going to be loud. Nevada is going to make a pretty big case on this, and Nevada is going to make sure everybody knows that Kalshi is not able to be operating in the state of Nevada. And then who follows suit, we'll see what direction that all plays out. It's 64-63 Santa Clara, leading by 1 over Kentucky. It is 52-43 Texas Tech. That game's going to come down to like 1 or 2 possessions for the +8 for Akron. That's going to be 1 or 2 shots either way. Like that number is going to be really sharp. That's a sharp number. So we'll see if Tech covers or if Akron can. I don't think Akron wins that game, but we'll see. We've seen big comebacks, obviously. 29-18. Arizona's out with 9.5 to play in the first half. That first half under should come in, barring a big offensive explosion. That was 72 that we played to the under there. So we'll see how that plays out, but it probably come close, but hopefully it won't get there. That would be a 2-1 mark yesterday, first half unders, 2 mark today for first half unders. So a profitable experiment there, or trend betting for us. If you guys are watching live, don't move. More to come in bonus time. If you are on the replay crew, have a phenomenal weekend. Our thanks to BetCris Arizona for sponsoring this program. Have a great weekend. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's the final week for this program to be named the Bostonian versus the Book. If you guys missed the shows earlier, excuse me, show name will be changing coming up next week. We will go to Pushing the Odds with Matt Perrault, but Friday will be special. Friday will be the final roll call Friday in 1 week, but Opening Line Media presenting Pushing the Odds with Matt Perrault starting on Monday, March the 30th for us coming up here for that. So look forward to a very big week next week. If you guys are with us live, don't move. More to come in bonus time. Ish is asking a question here to start bonus time. Matt, I know we will be indulged in basketball and wrestling for me, but are you watching that UFC main event tomorrow night? No, I'm not. I got to admit, right now, I think the UFC is in real trouble. And I think the UFC, it's really difficult to operate a business in which you are paid billions, not once, but twice, right? So Dana White, his value, his net worth is through the roof. It's insane, okay? But the knowledge that the WNBA is going to have an average salary of $600,000 per player per year. Average salary is going to be $600,000. The average pay for a UFC fighter on a UFC card, prelim all the way, is $12,000. There's a real problem right now. And there are some pretty big names with some pretty big platforms, Ronda Rousey being the most recent, who is able to come out and say fighters aren't making enough money. And thus, fighters are doing other things. Because the brutality of the sport, I don't know if you guys saw what happened this morning with the weigh-ins, but there was a fighter who missed weight by 8 pounds. And the fighter who she was supposed to fight against, she made weight. And she's from the town, I forget where the card is in Europe, but it's in the UK somewhere. She's from there. She was fighting in front of her home crowd, and she started crying because she made weight, and her opponent didn't even try. Her opponent was 8 pounds over. That's just disrespectful, unprofessional, whatever you want to call it from a word. It's gross. The company is no longer being run by Dana White. The company is run by Paramount. The company is run by CBS. And so they're not in the fight game. They're in the promotion game. They're in the storytelling. They're in the star promoting game, right? When you get to Paramount Plus, when you get to a level of a CBS, right? you're not Tyler Sheridan today. You're Tyler Sheridan, coming up when you have the upswing, right? You're going into season 2 of a mega show. You're not building anything. And the UFC is still building. It's not as big as it could be just by nature of the sport. So when you have this declaration about the White House card being the greatest thing that combat sports has ever seen, and then you roll out that card, okay? You roll out that card. Anybody with a brain is like, yeah, this card blows, because it does, okay? It's not entertaining. It's got names. It's got title fights. I understand all of that. But like the main event coming up for the fight night in Europe, it's in London tonight or tomorrow night. I mean, look, Michael Page is fighting. Okay, so that's cool. So you've got him, which is nice on this card. But most of these fighters, they may be known overseas, but they aren't known to the American fight fan. That's a problem. Josh Emmett is fighting coming up. If you look at the upcoming fights, you've got Adesanya. He's fighting in a fight night in Seattle next week. You have a decent fight night coming up on my birthday on April the 4th. I think that there are some. Moicano's a good fighter. Chris Duncan's relatively unknown. We just don't have we have too many fights. We have too many cards, and we don't have enough quality fighters to justify what's going on. It's bad. Look, it's regulated to a second screen. I would agree with you, Sonic. Me too. Iran Sean, take him down. UFC has been mediocre to me lately. I'm only interested in the main event tomorrow night, and that's it. I'm sure people feel the same way. Only interested in 1 or 2 fights and skip the rest. Yep. It's background noise to me. But up against basketball, good luck. Like, no, it's not even, it's not a fair fight up against basketball. Not even close up against hoops for the weekend. So like, and the UFC knows that. That's why they went to Europe, right? They know that. They're not going to fight that. So they're going overseas. But that's a big problem. Like, that's a major problem for the UFC, because the sport is not being produced by the people who know it the best. And so Dana needs to get his hands back around, gets his hand on the wheel again, but that's not going to happen because he is not the owner anymore. He's a passenger. And when you're paid $7 billion, you don't get to tell Paramount what to do. You don't get to do the same things you've always done, right? And so you're not paying out the money you should be paying out. They're going to lose 60 million on the White House card. They keep on telling everybody 60 million. Then why are you doing it? What's the point? Because if you keep on telling everybody that you're going to lose 60 million and the card isn't that interesting, and that you're talking about free tickets, people are going to be able to watch the fights from across the street. And if you guys have ever been to DC, you know how far away that is from where they're going to put the octagon. I mean, it's ridiculous. So you're going to watch it on screens. So it's like, great, you're there, but you're watching it on TV like everybody else. And the card is not what we thought it was going to be. It's not nearly as exciting as we thought it was going to be. We don't have any real, like, oh my God fights. There's some good fights on there, but there's nothing. I mean, Topuria against Gaethje is a good fight. It's a really good fight. It's a good pay-per-view fight. It really is. It's not historic. It's not going to stop anybody in their tracks and go, oh my God, no, like, that's not what we're going to do. So it's just something to take a look at on that. 68-67 Santa Clara with 2 to play. 59-50 Texas Tech over Akron. Like I mentioned, that's going to come right down. Wright State's got the lead on Virginia, 16-13. Arizona's up 34-18 with 7.5 to play in the first half. I'm on the first half under in that game. I'm on +8 for Akron, and I should have taken Wright State at +18, but I didn't do that. But I still think that's going to come down to it. 18 points. I'm just, all right, it's early still, but let's see. I don't know. Let's see. Let's talk favorite thing about today. My favorite thing about today is just what this weekend is. It's going to be 95 degrees today in Las Vegas. It's going to be 98 degrees tomorrow here in Las Vegas. I don't like the weather. Okay. I'm not telling you that I'm a fan of this. It's March. If it's 100 in March, it means it's going to be 100 from now until October. That's insane. However, when people come to town from the Midwest, from the Northeast, and they have seen nothing but snow and ice and 35-degree temperatures for months, for them to be able to come to Vegas, to go to the pool, to go to the day clubs, to go to all the sports bars and all the sports books around the city that have outdoor patios and that have ultimate seating and really cool venues. Every single thing is packed here today. There are so many people here in town. My daughter is having a sleepover tonight. She's leaving. And so I'm solo tonight. And I got all these people who are like, hey, I'm in town. I'm in town. I'm in town. Do you want to hang out? Do you want to go to a game? And I'm like, look, I think it's awesome. I love everything. I think it's amazing that you're in town, but I get a night at home after the traveling I have done. I've been on 8 planes since the end of 2026. I just want to relax and watch basketball for all of today, all of tonight, and all of tomorrow. Like, I just want to sit and watch basketball. I want to order wings. I want to order pizza. I want to hang out. I want to go get drinks. I want to go and drink whiskey and whatever. I want to just completely veg out and guy out here over the next couple of days. And I love this tournament. I just love the NCAA tournament. Favorite thing about today is that we're shutting this show down right now, and I'm going right upstairs to go watch basketball with all of you to catch the end of this Santa Clara game against Kentucky. Minute to play. Santa Clara up 2. Mark Pope better win this game or he may be out. Thank you guys for watching. Have a phenomenal weekend. We're back on Monday, 1 p.m. to recap it all. Let's see if a 1 seed goes down this weekend. I think it might happen. We'll see how it all plays out coming up here on Monday for another episode of the Bostonian versus the Book, presented by BetCris Arizona.